Hey everybody, this is Jim Carter, and today in our lesson, I want to show you Gmail. I want to dive into it, I want to show you the good parts, and I don't want you to get overwhelmed by all the options. I want you to be able to take it for how you're going to best use it at this stage in your hobby, your business, or what you want to grow into. And I just want to show you some of these tips and tricks that I've learned along the way. There's not a lot. These are just a few that are really going to tune everything for you. And as we go, we'll continue to refine it and we'll get better at it. But this is just to get started so you feel really comfortable with this email process. Now, there are a lot of different reasons why I like using Gmail. We're going to go right back here to the inbox. Gmail originally started as what was called the 20% time rule for Google. In the early days, Google implemented this rule where they offered 20% of their employees' time to work on a pet project, something fun. And some engineers got together and they actually built the roots for Gmail at the time. It was so cutting edge. It was so fun that Google decided to pick it up and turn it into a real project, and now it's one of the most popular projects, one of the most popular products that Google even offers. So it goes to show you that just having a hobby, putting things together can turn into something magical. What I want to show you today is just kind of the overall reason why I like Gmail. One, it's incredibly fast. It follows the 100 millisecond rule. So what is the 100 millisecond rule? It means that anything that you do really happens in just about 100 milliseconds or less. You can see that all of the moving between different sections, clicking buttons, closing things, opening sidebars, even if there's a little bit of animation, everything happens really fast. Now, whether or not it's actually happening in that 100 milliseconds or not is kind of irrelevant because it gives us that psychological little release of dopamine that tells us that things are happening quick. So we feel really efficient and we feel like we can get everything done really quick because of that. Gmail also has just an incredible spam filter, one of the best in the business. So they're constantly improving it and putting work into it to make sure that you've got the best experience with email and it's cutting things out that you just don't need. Now, I'm going to show you just a couple little things on this interface. What we have here is the ability to compose a new message in the top corner. When you open this up, you can start typing who it's to, give it a subject, type your body, and hit send. You can also maximize this window, and you can see here that the first time it's going to give you some tips about what you can do along the way. If you want to expand open into CC or BCC, those options are here. Gmail does not offer a really robust HTML, what you see is what you get type of editor, but it has just enough options right here to make your message customizable. You can see here as well that there's an option to send, or you can schedule the send for later. This is really important if you want to kind of get through a little late night email, but you don't want everybody to know that you were up in the middle of the night, or if you really want to just kind of buffer everything for the next morning, or if you're working on the weekend and you want everything to fire off on a Monday morning, for example. There's lots of other options here. You can insert emojis, links, attach files, so on and so forth. Now, there's a couple other simple options here. You can kind of preset some of these labels, but really the most important ones I think you're going to use here is probably to check spelling or to just flip over into plain text mode if formatting starts to get a little crazy. So that's how you can start working with a new draft. Now, what I want to show you on this left rail over here, these are what Gmail calls labels. Now, if depending on what client you use, you probably would consider these folders. So it's really easy to start working with these different labels out of the box. Your inbox, obviously. If you really love an email, you can star it, and then that will start to show up in the starred folder. You can also remove it, and then it'll go away from that starred folder. The ability to snooze an email is a great feature that Gmail added, and that's this little icon right here. So if I want to come back to this later today, I can just snooze it and it'll go away. It'll magically disappear and it'll come back to me at a later time. We're going to close this bottom piece as well. Then anything that I've sent will show up here. Anything that's in draft mode will be here. Again, if I start composing, let's just say this is to Jim at Tech Hobby, and that is not a real email address. That's just something I was starting to type in. I can go ahead and close that, and you'll see here that now it's listed as a draft. So I can always come back to it anytime I want, and I'll see that that drafts is set up right there. I also like to just close this unless I'm using Google Hangouts for chat. That opens up a lot more space, and it just gives me room where I can see things. Additionally, you have the ability to hide that whole menu by hitting this little hamburger main menu icon here on the left. So that's a little bit about the interface. Now I want to talk about these tabs. So what we have here, Google allows for the customization of these different tabs. If you click this little settings icon and you go to configure inbox, what it's going to do is it's going to give you this option where you can have these different tabs open. Now, when you first set up a Gmail account, you've got nothing in here, so it feels a little bit much. But as you start to get social media things like information from Google or Instagram notifications, excuse me, and then you have different promotions, like when you start signing up for services, you're going to be getting different deals and different savings and different updates and newsletters and things like that. They'll start to fit into these different tabs, and you can anytime go in here and you can configure which ones you like. Now, I typically like to run with primary, and I like to run with promotions and updates. But that's just a personal choice. There are lots of different ways that you can configure these, or you don't have to have them on at all, and everything just shows up in your inbox when it comes in. So we'll leave it off like that for right now, just so we see everything as it comes through. Now, the final section that I want to show you is just where you can start to configure things a little bit more. If you click on that settings icon and you go to settings, there are a ton of options in here, but I just want to show you the best ones. So you can see here that they have a setup progress meter. I highly recommend just running through this, even though we hit it on the homepage. Excuse me again. I just want to make sure that you can step through all of these different pieces. So moving down here, you can see here that there is a lot of different optimization options that may or may not apply to you. And of course, you're welcome to configure this for every email account that you have. The few that I like, I definitely do like the reply all by default. I'm mindful of replying all by default, but the last thing I want is to expect to reply to all, somebody miss something, and then not actually have it. Additionally, I like the send and archive feature. So picture if you're going through your email one by one and you're replying to people. Typically, the way that my email workflow works is that when I reply, I consider it done. And if I need to add any follow-up actions, then I'm going to do that mid-flight, if you will. This is not for everybody, because this will truly remove it from your inbox and put it into your archives when you have replied. But for me, I like to know that if I'm sending a reply, I am attempting to close that email thread. So this is an option that I enjoy. Additionally, there is this feature to always display images that come in that are external. What I like to do for tracking reasons, because I don't like to be tracked if I don't need to be tracked, is I like Gmail to ask me before displaying external images. So this means if there's pixel tracking, if there is an image that informs the sender that I opened the email and I worked through it, you probably see where we're going with this. This is going to give Gmail the permission to not allow that to load, and it'll give you a little message that you can click that says, yes, I would like to see those images. Additionally, they have autocorrect. Smart Compose is a fun new feature. As you type, it'll start to use AI to start to assume what you're going to type. So you can just kind of type a little bit, hit the tab key, really easy workflow, and it'll work on kind of adding some of those bigger words that, in my case, I can never remember how to spell. And then moving on a little bit, I do like to enable experimental features. Sometimes Gmail has what's called Gmail Labs, and Gmail Labs is some of their new fun stuff that they come out with. So in this case, it'll let you know if they're working on a new fun feature. In this case, the send later feature that I was showing you earlier, that came out as a labs option, and I really like that. So I like to know what's kind of cutting edge and what's coming up. Additionally, what I'd like to show you is keyboard shortcuts. So keyboard shortcuts are magical for Gmail, and I highly, highly recommend that you take some time to just put in some reps and learn keyboard shortcuts for Gmail. There are a lot of them, but the quicker that you get really familiar with it, you can really navigate Gmail in a really, really wonderful way. It becomes really enjoyable to move through your email really fast. And you'll see as we start to do more Gmail work, I know all of my keyboard shortcuts for Gmail, so I move through the entire interface with the keyboard, not moving with the trackpad, and it cuts probably half or 3 times the amount of work out. And then additionally, a simple signature. This is a great place where you can go and you can add a signature to all your emails. I always turn that on. I'll leave that off for right now. And I believe that is it on this page. The last thing I wanted to mention is a vacation autoresponder. So in this case, if I know that I'm going to be out of office, I can turn a vacation autoresponder on, mark the day that that starts, and mark the last day that I come back, for example. You don't need to add a subject, but here you can mention, I will be away, please do X instead of Y. And I do not leave this checked. I like to let everybody know who emails me because I'm truly on vacation or I'm away. Always click the Save Changes button here at the bottom. It will save and refresh, and then it will apply all of those changes to your settings. Finally, we're just going to look through some of these other tabs here in the settings. So you saw before that we had these labels. Now these directly correlate with these. So this is where you can create and manage all of these different labels. You'll see here if I don't want starred, I can hide it and it goes away. If I don't want snoozed, I can hide it and it goes away. So you can see how easy it is. Again, that 100 millisecond rule, everything is very instant. So I can just continually go through and craft everything that I want here. This is also where I can create a new label. With the inbox, these are more options around your inbox. They have things like a reading pane, and then just showing markers, and there's videos along the way to help you customize it. With accounts and import, if I wanted to change my password, I can do that here. Additionally, I can check mail from other accounts. This is a really nice feature. If you're like me and you have a bunch of different email accounts, at one point in your life, you may say, look, I just want everything in one email account. This is an opportunity where you can add a mail account, and I'll show you what that looks like. You go here, you type your email address in, you hit next, and what Gmail will do is it will email that other email with a code. You come back and you insert that code, and that's you verifying that you own that email. From there, Gmail will actually go out and fetch information, and it'll pull it into your Gmail. And now you have a consolidated inbox of all of your different email accounts that you can send and receive from. So it's a really simple way to be able to go out and fetch and consolidate everything into one account. Additionally, if you want to add any filtering or blocked addresses, this is your section here. If you start with this Gmail account, but you actually want to forward it or you want to clone information to another, that's this forwarding. Pop an IMAP, don't necessarily worry about that. If you do have a question, let me know. I'll make a whole video around that. But if you are attempting to use anything other than the Gmail application for your phone, for your tablet, then you're likely going to need to enable IMAP support. And when it's enabled, that will allow other services to come in and fetch your Gmail account. That's all you really need to know about that section. Add-ons, there's really no add-ons because we're on the free, simple Gmail version. This is where you can completely turn off that chat. That's Google Hangouts right here. Again, I like to have that off just to save a little bit of extra work on the browser. And then finally, Advanced is simply a section where they have a lot of extra features. There's not a whole lot in here that you really need. You can add your own custom keyboard shortcuts, custom templates, and there's a few little fun things in there. I do like offline mail. For example, if I'm on a plane, this will pre-download everything and let me kind of buffer everything while I'm on a plane so I can tear through email and it'll send when I get back online. And then finally, there are lots of different themes for Gmail. So if you're really feeling, this lake look, then you can go ahead and hit save and you could just kind of personalize it and make it your own. So that's all I've got for Gmail. This was a really, really quick overview of some of the basic, but also touching into some of the fun advanced features that I really like. And I wish you nothing but success with all of your email endeavors as you start this hobby, this business, and you just get better with crafting your tech. My name is Jim Carter. You can find me on the socials at CauseHacker, or you can find me at my website at jimcarter.me. And I look forward to teaching you some more next time. Thanks.